Schwab's year from hell. Hello, member super savers and bond course fans. I hope you're healthy and well. Schwab CEO Walt Bettinger, in an earnings call earlier this year, described 2023 as the most challenging year in his career at the company since the dot-com bubble burst at the beginning of the millennium. And indeed, Schwab was in the news a lot last year, and especially in the first half when we had our mini banking crisis that saw the likes of Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Suisse disappear. We shared a deep dive into Schwab's financials back then in 2023 with this video to give our Diamond NestEgg regulars some insights and orientation. Many of the Schwab folks in our community have kept asking for an update, so I guess this video has been overdue for a while. Here are the 3 topics we'll be covering in today's video. 1. How is Schwab doing these days? 2. What did Schwab do to survive their year from hell, as the Wall Street Journal calls their 2023? And 3. What are Schwab's remaining challenges, and do we still use Schwab? As usual, here's our front of video disclaimer. For a detailed disclaimer, please refer to the end of this video. Let's dive in now, folks. Schwab shares, ticker symbol SCHW, had a bit of a roller coaster ride over the past 2 years, as you can see from this chart. Where everyone got really scared was the first half of 2023. At the peak of the market jitters, SCHW fell by 39% in just 6 weeks, from $80.60 on February 21st, 2023 to $49.35 on April 3rd, 2023. This was also the time when our Diamond NestEgg community got nervous and started asking a lot of questions, worried whether Schwab might be in a similar danger zone as Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Suisse. Now, Schwab is still around, so it all ended well in that sense. But are all their challenges really behind them? So in today's video, let's take a look at Schwab's results for Q1 2024, which were published just a few weeks back on April 15th. To summarize, it seems that Schwab is overall back in the game and ready to fight its next fight, so to speak. Schwab shares have regained a healthy level after some additional ups and downs, and the company does seem to have turned a corner. At the time of this taping, SCHW closed at $75.54 on May 7th, 2024, up about 53% from where they closed on April 3rd last year. And recent market comments generally point in the same direction. As I mentioned earlier, according to the Wall Street Journal, Charles Schwab just survived a year from hell. But the trouble isn't over yet. So the Wall Street Journal clearly packed 2 messages in one headline. And before we look at Schwab's remaining challenges, let's understand what they did to survive the last year from hell. When you look at Schwab's most recent financial results, there are a few observations that may give you a feeling on the underlying dynamics at the firm. So, as a starting point, Schwab's total net revenue and net income are both still down from a year ago. Net revenue is down by 7% and net income is down 15% year over year. But both have recovered from recent lows in the last quarter of 2023 and are up quarter over quarter. Net revenue is up 6% and net income is up 30% for the last 3 months. 3 factors have been working in Schwab's favor and explain its resilience. The first factor is that Schwab has done their homework on cost cutting. Total expenses excluding interest are down 10% quarter over quarter and 2% year over year. The sharpest reductions were in capital expenditures, as you can see from this quarterly and this annual difference. Capital expenditures include spending on purchases of equipment, office facilities, and property, often the low-hanging fruits in any situation where a firm needs to save on costs. Headcount has also been declining regularly for the last 9 months, down pretty much exactly 4,000 full-time equivalents, or 11% from its peak in the second quarter of 2023. And with the TD Ameritrade integration seemingly not fully completed yet, perhaps there may be some more cost reductions to be made here. The second factor which has been working in Schwab's favor is that they seem to have stabilized their funding again, as shown by their reduced dependence on Federal Home Loan banks. FHLB borrowing is expensive, as those of you who've bought FHLB agency bonds know from the other side. FHLB agency bonds often pay attractive coupons. And now you know what FHLB was doing with some of that money that they received from you as agency bond investors. They passed it on to Schwab. But because FHLB borrowing is expensive, most banks are usually reluctant to borrow too much from them. But that's what Schwab had to resort to in early 2023. The good news is that Schwab has basically cut the FHLB borrowing volumes in half, as they are down by 47% year over year. And the third and maybe most important factor that has been working in Schwab's favor and fundamentally explains its resilience is that you, or rather Schwab customers, stuck with them overall. Unlike Silicon Valley Bank's customers, who as many of us now know were pretty quick to take their money and head out the door. Many key client indicators kept growing through Schwab's year from hell, and Schwab had a new record of $9.1 trillion in total client assets at the end of Q1 2024. The number of active brokerage accounts is up 3% year over year, and the number of banking accounts is up even more, with an increase of 8% year over year. And if you watch this interview with Schwab CEO Bettinger, you'll see that the tone of this past quarter's earnings announcement was as upbeat as it hasn't been since early 2023. Or at least we haven't seen Bettinger smile this broadly in such a media setting in a long time. So all good for Schwab, right? Well, not so fast. As the second message from the Wall Street Journal article that we showed you earlier said, the trouble isn't over yet. So with that in mind, let's move on to the next section of this video. While Schwab did survive their year from hell and may have turned a corner, it is still down year over year for some of its most important numbers, such as net revenue and net income, as we've shown you earlier. And the company itself describes 2024 as a transitional year, signaling that they're trying to set up Schwab for sustainable growth in 2025 and beyond. In our mind, Schwab's success will fundamentally depend on its ongoing commitment to customer satisfaction, while at the same time continuing to be disciplined about costs. Here are Schwab's 3 additional main challenges. 1. Deposits are still going down. Schwab has relied heavily on cheap deposits in the past to fund its growth, as many of our Diamond NestEgg regulars already know. But so long as interest rates remain high, Schwab will need to tap into more expensive forms of funding as they have less cheap deposits available. Who knows? Perhaps they will raise deposit rates to keep customers from taking that money elsewhere. Either way, this will not help overall profitability. 2. Employee morale has taken a hit. Schwab employees were used to working for a winner, and the experience of being in the news with less than flattering headlines, plus the actual layoffs, appear to have shaken many. 3. Schwab still needs to bring the TD Ameritrade integration to a successful conclusion, meaning keep TD Ameritrade customers and integrate the different cultures. And that culture seems to be quite different according to this Wall Street Journal article we referenced earlier. Internally, it seems Schwab employees are known as Team Blue and TD Ameritrade employees as Team Green. On the green side, employees were accustomed to working quickly and flexibly. The blue side generally operated at a slower pace and with extensive reviews and processes, former and current employees said. Only time will tell if Schwab can keep the best of both teams, both worlds, and how they will handle these ongoing challenges. Curious minds want to know, though, how many of you ex-TD Ameritrade folks have stayed with Schwab? And if you stayed, how happy are you with that decision? And for those of you who left, where did you go? Drop a comment below and let everyone know. As for us, many of you know that most of our holdings are with Fidelity, but we still have a bit of cash with Schwab. We had no plans to leave before, and we don't have any plans to leave now that the worst seems to be over. Every good and even great company goes through bad times, and it seems Schwab has managed to recover from this year from hell thanks to their loyal customer base and cost-saving efforts. How long it will take them to fully recover remains to be seen, though. So if this is something that you want us to continue watching and that you want to get regular updates on, then also drop a comment below and let us know. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. And if you did, I'd love to invite you to take a look at this video here on one of our 2 brand new bond courses so that you can take advantage of some of these anticipated higher for longer rates. Or come join our next Super Saver live member Q&A session on Monday, May 20th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. One of the highlights will be the upcoming 10-year tips auction. Check out the links below this video for more details on our bond courses and YouTube Super Saver membership. All right, members, Super Savers, and Bond Course fans, have a great week and see you again very soon with more brand new wealth building content for your financial journey.